3. The path to your desired life. This is a very important slide, okay, because it says, you know, in a sense, life is about living the lifestyle that you want to live. Okay, I realized that you know, some religions tell you that, you know, it's about the afterlife or seventh heaven, that you want to go to heaven, whatever. Okay, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm kind of a religious person myself, but in this life, okay, this right here, it's about your lifestyle. Okay, and if you can live the lifestyle that you were interested in, then you're going to be more happy than if you can't. Okay, if you can't live the lifestyle that you were hoping to have, you're going to be more or less unhappy. Okay, whereas if you can live the lifestyle that you're looking for, then you're more likely to have a good experience on this planet. Okay, so this is very important. So the question is, how do you attain your desired lifestyle? And that's what this slide is meant to help you understand. It says, in the space provided, draw the path to your desired lifestyle cycle. Notice it's a kind of cycle. Explain how it works forward, starting with education and from the end result or reverse manner. Okay, so here's number 1. And here, what you need to do here is you need to fill in the blanks, okay? So it starts with education or training. Okay, so human beings are born, well, they call it a blank slate. They say that our brains are born like a blank slate, which I think is more or less true. Well, we do have some genetic memory, you know, like you're either male or female, and there's some genetic intelligence that we're born with. Okay, but outside of that, we don't know anything, right? In fact, if you have children in your home, you know that children don't even know how to eat. Okay, a lot of parents, they have to play with their children, like with the spoon, you know, and play like with like an airplane, you know, to convince them to eat, like mashed carrots or mashed corn or something soft, right? And they play like they have to play like with the children to convince them to eat. And the children, because the children don't want to eat, they don't want to eat. Okay, and the reason they don't want to eat is because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what this is. They don't know how to eat. They're like, what is this junk you're trying to put down my throat? Okay, that's the level of the human being when we're neonates. That's where we are as neonates. Okay, we know nothing. We don't even know how to eat. Okay, so everything moving forward, we have to learn. And we have to learn it either through education and or training. Right? Everything. How to sit at the table, how to set the table, that the fork goes on the left side, the knife goes on the right side, and the glass of water goes on the right, and things like that. You have to learn all these things, right? Of etiquette and so forth. And same with school and employment, and career, life. It's a lot of learning. Okay, so everything we consider education or training. Okay, but in terms of a college education or business education, the purpose of a college education or business education is to be able to have an occupation or a business. Okay, so you're going to college or you're in a business program to be able to get a job and or start a business. Okay, I realize that a lot of strict academicians will argue that no, the purpose of education is to edify the human being, which is true. That is true. Education should edify you as a human being, and it does. But from the practical point of view, from the business point of view, you're going to college to be able to get a job and or start a business. That's why you're doing this, okay? especially if you want to apply for CPT or OPT, right? For curricular practical training or optional practical training. That's what you're doing. Okay. And then once you have that job and your business, that will give you a certain level of income. Now, generally speaking, the more income, the better, right? The less income, the less attractive it is, especially when you're young and you're starting out. So the bigger your income you have, that's number 3. The bigger income you have, then your standard of living is likely to be better. Okay. The smaller your income is, then your standard of living is likely to be less enjoyable. Right? So that's how it works. Okay. So your standard of living is determined by your income, which is determined by your occupation and business, which is determined by your education and training. That's how it works. Okay. And then number 5 here, you should write in reiterate or repeat. I put read because I'm not good. And which means that if you have extra money, you might get additional education or additional training to try to get a better job or have a better business to make more money so you can improve your standard of living. Okay, and that's how it works. That's how it works. It begins with education, training, different types, to have a job and or business, to have an income. And the bigger your income, the bigger your standard of living. And the smaller your income, the smaller your standard of living. And if you can, if you're interested, you may want to reiterate this process, get more education or more training to get a better job and or to have a better business. Okay? That's how it works. That's the traditional way. That's how I was taught in high school. There's also a reverse way. And what I should tell you about the reverse way is that when I was in high school, I had a friend who was a cheerleader. She was a young lady. And I thought she was kind of a dumb, to be honest with you, because, you know, cheerleaders, they wear these little mini skirts and they lift their legs up and they show their, what do they call them? I forget what the British call them. So they're undergarments to the athletes. You know? And I thought this is illegal. But many years later, I ran into her. I grew up in the city of Whittier, which is the hometown, really the hometown of President Richard Nixon. That's where I grew up. And I ran into her at Whittier just by accident. And she was driving this gigantic Mercedes-Benz SUV. Yeah, I was very surprised. And she asked me, would you like to come see my house? I said, yeah, I'd like to see your house. And so I got in her, you know, SUV that looks like a tank to me anyway. This is maybe 20 years ago, long time ago. And when I get in the SUV and she presses a button and the camera goes on and she backs up with the camera. I'd never seen that before in my life. Never seen that. This is, I'm talking like maybe 20 years ago. I was like, oh my God, this car has a camera. When you back up, the camera goes on. I was like surprised. And we got to her house and it was like this was many years ago. The house was worth more than $1 million. And it was like a mini hotel, like a small hotel. And walk into the house, and we're going to, she's showing me the house, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna get lost in here. I better make sure I know how to get out of here because I think I'm gonna get lost. I don't know if you've ever been in a hotel and you get lost in the hotel. The big hotel, like, oh my God, is it right or is it left? Like that. I started to get that feeling. I think, oh shoot, I better make sure I know how to get out of here. Okay. And I said, well, what happened? Right? Because we had the same teachers. We went to the same high school. Whittier High School. Whittier High School was probably one of the best high schools in California at that time. You know, Whittier High School produced President Richard Nixon and many admirals and generals and lawyers and doctors. So it was a very good high school. And I asked her, what happened? And she says, because we had the same teachers, same high school. She says, oh, well, I told her, you know, traditional way, and I did fairly well. I would say my wife and I are probably the top 10% of the United States in terms of finances, um, which is pretty good. You know, it gives you like an A minus, I guess. And I said, what happens? So I explained to her this how I got to here, to being relatively successful. Because she says, no, I didn't do it that way. I said, what do you mean you didn't do it that way? That's what they trained us. That's how I explained it to us. So no, I did. Says I did the other way around. I said, what do you mean the other way? And then she explained to me how she had um, been able to buy this home that was, today that home's probably worth more than $2 million. And it's expensive luxury car, sent your children to private schools and gone on these wonderful vacations to Europe and so forth, right? I said, well, what did you do? What happened? I said, well, look at, first of all, I decided that what kind of lifestyle I wanted. And I wanted to live in $1 million home and drive a $7,000 car and send my kids to private schools and have these wonderful vacations to Europe. That's what I wanted. That was my goal. So then she asked herself, well, how much money do I need to do that? Well, I need a lot of money to have a $1 million home and a $7,000 car and my kids in private schools and go on these marvelous vacations to Europe. I need a lot of money. So I asked myself, what kind of job or business will give me that kind of money? And she said, well, becoming a doctor. Right. So I decided I'm going to go to medical school to get the education of training to become a doctor, to make the average doctor in California, by the way, you guys, right now is making about $20,000 per month. Okay. So minimum wage in California is around, after taxes, it's around $20,000 a year after taxes, minimum wage. The average doctor in California is making $20,000 per month. Okay, to have the income, to have the standard of living that I aspire to. Okay, so there it is. Okay, you can do it the traditional way, or you can do it backwards. Okay, it's up to you. It's up to you. How you want to go about this. I'm not a very materialistic person, so I don't necessarily want all these luxury things, but some people do. Okay, so that's basically how it works. Okay, and here what I'd like you to do is explain how it works forward with start education, and from the end result, where it was now. You can type it. Okay, let's go to the next slide.